Okay, Steeler Nation. I've been saying for weeks on end now that this is the toughest game on the schedule, and this is where the fun begins, folks. This is the first game in which we play 3 games in 10 days. This right here is without a doubt the hardest part of the schedule, and it starts with the hardest game on the schedule, as I keep mentioning. As we don't leave Pennsylvania, we leave Pittsburgh, but we don't leave Pennsylvania. We head to the other side of Pennsylvania to take on the Philadelphia Eagles in the Battle of the Keystone. Let's get on to this preview. What is good, everybody? I am Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 10-3 take on the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 11-2 for Week 15 of the 2024 NFL season. For the umpteenth time, in my personal opinion, this is the hardest game on the schedule. And I say that for one simple fact that overshadows everything. You know when the last time the Steelers won in Philly? Well, the last time the Steelers won in Philly, the Beatles were the number one band in the world. Gas was around 31 cents a gallon, which I think would be an absolute highway robbery in today's economy. Let's be honest. You had MLK with his march in Selma for the civil rights movement. You had LBJ being reinaugurated as president. And of course, you had the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Both my parents were toddlers as well, all the way back in 1965. That was the last time the Steelers won in Philadelphia, 59 years ago. And this week, I think it's needless to say the Steelers are looking to end that drought, because you want to talk about the Philly flu. You know, people talk about how the Pens, couldn't win in Philly for 15 straight years. The Pens went from 1974 to 1989 without registering a single win in Philadelphia. During that time, they could not beat the Flyers in Philly, as in 42 matchups in Philly, the Pens went 0-39-3 in Philadelphia. This is the real Philly flu right here. The Steelers not being able to beat the Eagles in Philadelphia. So we need a cure. We need a medication. We need a prescription to cure this Philly flu of ours. And I think we might have it with our quarterback in Russell Wilson, because two things can be true at the same time. As yes, the Steelers do not play well in Philly. I don't need to reiterate that. But Russell Wilson does have quite a history of playing the Eagles very well. So something has to give this coming Sunday. Which streak is going to continue. But let's talk about the Eagles for a second here, okay? So obviously they're 11-2. They are burning hot right now at 9 straight wins. Have not lost a game since, I believe, week 4 against the Tampa Bay Bucks, where they allowed Baker Mayfield to pass all over them. And I still think Philly's pass defense is a little sus, but they have really gotten things together. And I think that's where I'm going to start with this right here for the Eagles. I'm going to talk about their defense, and they are under Vic Fangio, so they run an all-quarters type of defense, and it has worked really well for them in the grand scheme of things. And as the weeks have gone by, like I said, the Eagles have just gotten progressively better and they continue to improve defensively. They are fourth in scoring defense. They are first in yards per play, and they are middle of the pack when it comes to turnovers. I mean, this is not a team that's going to force a ton of turnovers on you, but they can come up with a turnover every now and then. They're very average when it comes to causing turnovers. Obviously, you take a look at some of the playmakers that the Eagles have on defense. Zach Braun, he is having a great year with the Philadelphia Eagles so far. And then you take a look at guys like Jalen Carter. He has really evolved into a star on that defensive line for the Eagles right there. You got Quinyon Mitchell as well. I think he has really blossomed into a solid starter for the Eagles. And then, of course, you got Cooper DeJean and Big Play Slay in the secondary right there. So those are three really good secondary pieces that the Eagles have right there, and that they are physical. They can cover the ball well. They come up with good pass deflections. A lot to like if you're an Eagles fan as far as the secondary goes, but like I said, I'm still not entirely sold on Philly's pass defense, despite the talent that those guys bring to the table. So that kind of leads me into a key to victory here is that you just got to play an overall complete game. And that's what the Eagles have predicated around during this streak and during this winning streak that they've gotten. You got to play a complete game of football, because in order to beat the Eagles, you got to match what they do. And what they do is that they run the ball very effectively with a certain running back that I'm going to bring up in just a couple minutes here. But if you can run the ball efficiently here and get Najee Harris involved here, I think definitely the chances increase dramatically to beat Philadelphia. You got to avoid dumb penalties and you got to avoid bad mistakes. So avoiding stuff like third and long situations and needing, a big play to convert a first down, that's key as well. Because what's the number one play that the Eagles like to use when it's third and inches or third and one? They like to use the tush push or the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it, with Jalen Hurts. So definitely avoid third and long situations, and it just evolves around bleeding out the clock and draining it as much as you possibly can to keep that offense off the field and tire out the defense there. And, like I said, that's definitely my main key to victory here. Tire out the defense, test it, and then when you're forcing Philly to play honestly, then you can go ahead and take your chances, with really tiring them out and finishing them off with a big play. But that's going to be a little bit easier said than done in this matchup for us, because George Pickens is doubtful for this game. And basically, I'm going to chop that down to he's not playing for this Sunday, and he could possibly be out until Christmas. So, yeah, like I keep saying, say what you want about George Pickens, say what you want about his immaturity, and I agree with you on it. But one thing that you cannot deny about Pickens is that he is the engine with this offense. And when he's not on the field, this offense looks entirely different, not in a good way either. So Pickens being doubtful for this game, still dealing with a hamstring problem. I think they're saying that it's a grade 2 hamstring problem right now, which could make him be out for about 3 weeks. That's not good, especially around this time of year when the playoffs are on the line. So Pickens being doubtful for this game definitely hurts us. Defensively as well, Larry Ogunjobi, he is questionable for this game as well. And then, of course, you got Dante Jackson, who's questionable as well. So a couple of injuries for us right there. But Philly is also dealing with some injuries as well. They got Dallas Goedert. They got Brandon Graham, longtime Eagle right there, someone that I've always had a lot of admiration for. And Bryce Huff. All those guys are on IR, or all those guys are at the very least listed as questionable, and they're injured as well. So neither of these teams are really perfect and 100% healthy coming into this game, as they are dealing with injuries of their own. So, you know, if we can't be without Pickens, and if one of our top two contributors on defense are not going to be fully healthy either, then Philly's going to have some setbacks as well. And something that works in our advantage in this game is that we do relatively well against tight ends. So Dallas Goedert, if he is going to play in this game, I didn't see the full status of it, but if he does play in this game, take advantage of him not being 100% good to go as well, and continue to work the way you do with tight ends. So there you go right there. So really, that's Philly defensively right there. This is a very tough Eagles defense here. This is an Eagles defense that is definitely going to limit you. They may not make you turn the ball over a lot, but for sure, they can definitely keep you off the board, and they can hold you to not having a very productive day as far as yardage and points goes. So you got to tire out this Eagle defense and work your fundamentals to the best of your abilities in this game. So that's it for Philly's defense. Now getting on to the offense for the Eagles, and this is where Philly truly shines, as they are under head coach Nick Sirianni, and they are also under offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Philly has put together a really good offensive season, as they are 8th in points per game this season, 12th in yards per play, and they really take care of the ball well, as they're 6th in turnovers this year. So this is an Eagle defense, or an Eagle offense rather, that really takes good care of the football, and they will not turn the ball over a ton, and that's something that this defense has done really well. The Steelers defense is first in turnovers this year. This is the team that has caused the most turnovers on defense. So something is really going to be tested here. If we can cause Jalen Hurts to throw an interception, and if we can cause a lot of pressure on him and make him make bad decisions, and if we can do what we did to running backs in the past this season, like we did with Derrick Henry, who rarely fumbles the ball, and we can do that to Saquon Barkley, win the turnover battle here, our chances of beating Philly are going to be better than you think. The Steelers, say what you want about the run defense, but this season we have held some of the best running teams to a very limited amount this season. You saw it in week 1 against Atlanta with Bijan Robinson. In week 2, didn't hold Denver to a whole lot of rushing yards. Week 3 against the Chargers, they were the number 1 team in rushing yards going into that week 3 matchup, held them to under 4 yards a carry. And then, obviously, of course, the run defense started to dwindle down a bit, as the Colts and Cowboys games weren't very well. But right back to it. Limited the Raiders, limited the Jets, limited the Giants, limited Washington as much as we could. I'm trying to think of the schedule at the top of my head. And then, of course, in week 11, like I just mentioned, we made Derrick Henry fumble the ball, something that he rarely does. Held the Ravens in check. Held Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in that Ravens game. And then we had another hiccup against Nick Chubb and the Browns in week 12. But again, that was on a shortened week. So I'm not going to, rip into him too much, because short weeks are always very tough. Not using it as an excuse, but, I'm just using it as an explanation rather than an excuse. So there you go with the rush defense for week 12. Week 13, the Bengals run game was non-existent, as we got the Bengals into as much of a hole as we could, and we had to make Joe Burrow try and beat us, and that's something that he ultimately failed to do. And then obviously this past Sunday, Nick Chubb had a couple of runs against us, but again, got the Browns in a 20-point deficit against us, and it was Jameis Winston's game to win or lose in that game. And obviously we beat Jameis Winston in that game. So yeah, a couple of hiccups along the way as far as the run game goes for the Steelers this season. And overall, we've done okay with the run game against some of the top rushing teams. But this right here is the true matchup, because Saquon Barkley is without a doubt an MVP candidate. And if you ask me personally, he's my vote to get MVP this year. In week 11, I said it was Derrick Henry. And now 4 weeks later, I'm saying it's Saquon Barkley. So things can change in the matter of a month. So I think any way you look at it this year, we're going to see a running back win MVP for the first time in 12 years since Adrian Peterson did it with the Vikings in 2012. So I think it's going to come down to Saquon Barkley winning MVP. And kind of like how, Franco Harris was the engine of the Steel Curtain offense back in the 70s, or the Steelers teams of the 70s. And like how the Boss was the engine of our offense in the mid 90s and all the way up to, I would say, around 2004 with the Steelers offense. You know, stopping that right there and limiting the run is definitely going to be the number one key to beating Philly. Because like I said, like I alluded to earlier, if you can beat Philly at their own game, run out the clock, bleed it out, gain as much yards as possible on the ground, wear and tear them down, you're going to beat them. That's exactly what Philly's going to do to our offense with Saquon. I have no doubt about that right there. Then, of course, also with Philly's offense, you got Jalen Hurts, who I don't think is as good as people make him out to be. I don't think he is a superstar I don't think he's the superstar that people say he is, but he's still a very good quarterback. I just don't think that he is the superstar that people say he is. So in a way, I think people are overrating him a bit. Not saying that he's a bad quarterback. He's certainly not a bad quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. He's certainly a franchise level starting quarterback, but I wouldn't go as far to call him a superstar. He's definitely a franchise quarterback though. But Jalen Hurts, I think he fits this Philly offense rather well. It's a pro spread type of offense, so you're going to see a lot of running the ball, and you're going to see a lot of deep shots as well to get something going with the pass game, just being an overall well-balanced offense with Philly's offense right there. But Jalen Hurts, like I said, very good quarterback. He's got really good playmaking ability. Obviously, he runs with the ball real well. He's a real good plus runner when the Eagles are not using Saquon Barkley rarely this season. He's got a really good deep ball. I think he's very accurate with the ball as well. And overall, I just think that, he's a very good dynamic athlete. You got to beat Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, the same way that the Steelers are able to beat Lamar Jackson, which leads me into another key to victory of mine right here, which is keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket. Because the one weakness that I see personally with Jalen Hurts is that he really needs to work up on his mental processing a bit. He kind of strikes me as a one-read type of quarterback. Because the thing with me, like I said, in order for us to beat Jalen Hurts, you got to beat him in the same way that we beat Lamar Jackson. Because if you can take that first read away from Jalen Hurts, it's going to cut off a lot of rush lanes, and it's going to make him improvise a bit in the pocket. And if we can send 5 on our line and blitz him, that is going to make him, improvise and step out of his comfort zone with being that one read type of quarterback. And the guy that he likes to throw to the most obviously is AJ Brown, and when it's not him, Devonta Smith. Those are two really solid guys that the Eagles have at receiver. And like I said, I don't know the full extent of Dallas Goedert in this game, but yeah, the Steeler defense has done rather well against tight ends this season. So definitely keeping Jalen in the pocket, pressuring him, sending 5, and making him take his eyes off that first read is definitely crucial in this game. Keeping a spy on him if he's going to take off as well is definitely crucial as well, which is where I'd like to see Patrick Queen or Landon Roberts come in this game for our defense in this one here. So definitely, like I said, healthy rotations in this game with stopping Jalen Hurts. Whether it's a guy like Cam Hayward, whether it's a guy like Landon Roberts, whether it's a guy like Pat Queen, whether it's a guy like Peyton Wilson either. If you can have those healthy rotations, and you can keep that spy on Jalen Hurts and you can keep him in the pocket and you can prevent him from getting loose, then your chances of beating Jalen Hurts are definitely going to increase in limiting this Philly offense right here. So that's another key to victory. And finally, my last key to victory for this game here is that the Eagles, they usually play their best brand of football when it comes to the fourth quarter. This is definitely a fourth quarter type of team, and this is definitely a team that can be clutch in the grand stage of things. But you know what? So's this team. The Steelers, how many times this season alone have we seen the Steelers play their best football in the second half? And how many times have we seen the Steelers really turn things up a notch in the fourth quarter? These are two of the best fourth quarter teams in the NFL this season. So if it's a tie game, and if it's basically even, or maybe if the Steelers are down a score or two, and the Steelers can definitely play their best brand of football in the fourth quarter, and they need a comeback, then really, I like our chances. I really see this game coming down to who's the more clutch fourth quarter team. Philly does play well in the fourth quarter, but that's really more so when the game is out of reach for them and they just need to finish off the game. It's going to be a test for both teams. It's going to be a test to see if the Eagles have a comfortable lead in the fourth quarter, if they're going to be able to maintain it against a team that is clutch this season and has won a lot of games in the fourth quarter in the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's going to be a test for both teams right here. You know, I really don't think I really think people are underestimating the Steelers' chances of winning this game here. I really do. You know, I don't think it's as one-sided as you think. And I think the only reason that people are saying it is because the Eagles are on a hot streak and they've won their last 9 games. And the fact that, they just have, that their offense is one-upped and it's even better now with Saquon Barkley. I really think people are underestimating how much of a chance the Steelers have to win this game here. So, yeah, like I said, winning in the fourth quarter and being the clutch team in the fourth quarter, that, in my opinion, is the biggest key to victory in this game here. Because, like I said, both teams are going to be tested in the fourth quarter in this game. So, yeah, that's what it boils down to, guys. So, yeah, man, obviously, huge matchup here. Both teams also have playoff clinching scenarios, okay? The Steelers, if we win this game, guys, if we win, we're in the playoffs. However, even if we lose this game, Steeler fans, you got to be pulling for the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans this weekend as well, because even if we lose this game, we can still clinch a playoff spot with a win, or if the Indianapolis Colts and the Miami Dolphins both lose their games this Sunday. So, yeah, if Miami and Indy both lose, and even if we lose this game, we can still clinch the playoffs despite a loss. So definitely keep an eye on the Colts-Broncos game and the Dolphins-Texans game this weekend as well. Philly, if they win this game, or if Washington loses, the Eagles are the NFC East champs. So there are some things on the line in this matchup here. This is probably the first game, in my opinion, between these two where there were playoff stakes on the line. I mean, usually these two, when they play each other, we don't play Philly very often. We play them once every election year, basically, and then obviously in every even year, if we finished in the same place as them, then we play them again. But as far as I'm concerned, the Steelers and Eagles play each other once every election year. But this is the first time that playoff stakes, at least that I can recall, this is the first time where playoff stakes were on the line when these two have played. So there you go. A playoff spot is on the line for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this matchup here. Now, look, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Like I keep saying, this is the game that I feel the least confident with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because it doesn't seem to matter how good we are or how bad Philly is. Philadelphia is the one place where the Steelers just never play well at. We never play well there. We always have bad luck there, and we just never seem to have a good game in Philly. Even when we last won the Super Bowl in '08, Big Ben had a terrible game against the Eagles in Philly, and he got sacked 9 times. So, like I said, this is the game that I'm least confident about, just knowing the history that we have in Philly. And, you know, there is a pretty good chance that we are not going to win this game. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to say we have absolutely no chance at winning this game. Because, like I said, people are underestimating how much of a chance and how even this matchup is, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everyone's counting us out, saying that we don't have a snowball's chance in hell at winning this game. No pun intended, because Philly threw snowballs at Santa. But you get what I mean. People are saying that we're down and out, that we're automatically going to lose this game, so on and so forth. And, if we do lose this game, then I'm not going to be furious about it. I'm not going to be mad about it, because my expectations for this game are the lowest that they've been all season. So we lose this game, no foul, no harm. It just means that we don't clinch a playoff spot this week, perhaps. And we're probably just going to have to wait another week for that. But we can absolutely win this game. We do all those keys to victory, and we do all those things that Philly throws at us, and we counter it. We can walk away with this win. Everyone in the NFL says that we're frauds. Everyone's saying that we're going one and done. Everyone says that, our team is nothing but smoke and mirrors. Everyone says that, well, the Steelers don't win. Their opponents just beat themselves. At the end of the day, this team is 10-3. At the end of the day, this team continues to find ways to win. Last I checked, teams win football games by scoring more points than their opponent. And the Steelers have done that 10 times this season. This game, it's not impossible to win. Like I said, I don't have a very good feeling about the game. This is the game that I'm least confident about on the schedule, but I'm not saying we can't win it. We can absolutely win it. We need to show Philly that we can be just as physical and draining as they can. We need to show them that we can absolutely run the ball efficiently like they can. Maybe not. Najee Harris is the furthest thing away from Saquon Barkley, let's be honest. And our receiving core is definitely beat up in this game. So I need to see guys like Pat Freiermuth being thrown across the middle. I need to see guys like Mike Williams stepping up to the reins here, because George Pickens is most likely not going to play in this game. I need to see guys like Van Jefferson being deep threats. Russell Wilson has been finding Van Jefferson a lot lately. That says enough about how much of an upgrade that we have at quarterback. He's finding guys like Van Jefferson, for crying out loud. That should say enough right there. Okay? We can win this game. We can get the Jalen. We can rush him all day. We can rotate our guys. We can match well with Saquon. We can lock down their targets. We can cause a turnover. It's up to Arthur Smith, and it's up to Tomlin for that to happen. We can win this game. We absolutely can. So we'll see how it goes Sunday, guys. And we'll just see who truly runs the Keystone State. We'll see truly who Pennsylvania's team truly is. We'll see about that. When it comes to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, it's the epitome of the feuding neighbors. Pittsburgh and Philly don't like each other when it comes to sports, and it's easy to see why. Do I hate the Eagles? No, I don't. I wouldn't go as far as say that I hate the Eagles. I really don't hate them. Like I said, we basically play them once every election year. And, in past matchups, there have been some memorable games, like back in 2004 in Big Ben's rookie year. The Eagles came into Pittsburgh undefeated, and the Steelers won 27-3. And the only person in the NFL that was undefeated at that point was Big Ben. The Eagles went on to lose the Super Bowl, but still, we handed Philly their first loss of the year that year. Then, obviously, like I said, no wait, we went on to the Super Bowl, but the Eagles, they clobbered us in Philly. Steelers won a tight one in 2012 in Pittsburgh. And then, obviously, in 2016, Carson Wentz, as a rookie, just straight up dominated us 34-3. Couldn't get anything going offensively. One of the worst Steeler games I've ever seen. 2020, Chase Claypool. Remember that name? Chase Claypool had 4 touchdowns on the Eagles in 2020 in Pittsburgh, and we won. And then obviously the last time we met was a couple years ago in Philly. The Eagles absolutely destroyed us. So we have had some memorable games with the Eagles in the last 20 years or so. But let's try and buck the trend here. Like I said, I don't hate the Eagles. I wouldn't go as far as say that I hate them. I don't even hate the Philadelphia Phillies. You know, the Pirates and Phillies, they play 6 or 7 times a year. They used to have a big rivalry back in the 60s and 70s, but I don't really hate the Phillies. I don't even hate the 76ers. But do I hate the Philadelphia Flyers? Oh, you bet your sweet ass I hate the Flyers. They are the only team in Philly that I truly hate. It's the Flyers. And if you're a Pens fan, you should hate the Flyers as well. So, yeah, this may not be Steelers, Eagles. It may certainly not be Pens, Flyers, but I want this matchup to have Pens, Flyers intensity, if you know what I mean right here. This is a huge game. Let's show Philly who runs the state of Pennsylvania, Steeler Nation. I expect there to be a lot of Steeler fans in Philly as both Pennsylvania fan bases make the 5.5-hour car trip to their respective venues quite well whenever these two teams get together. So Steeler Nation, let's head on over to Philly and let's do the unthinkable. Let's outdo Eagle fans in their own stadium and let's show them why on the field as well and get this W and shock the NFL, baby. Let's get it done. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let's defy some logic, man. I am Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.